Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Excuse me. Today is Friday, February 15th, and the celebration of gold and dust is gone, so we're back to just playing for gold and rolling to try to get 60, 80, or maybe 100, even 120. I think there's like one quest out there you can get that's 120. Or you can get Watch and Learns. Of course, Watch and Learns or Challenge of Friends give you packs, and packs are worth 100 dust, or at least they used to be. It's been a while. Yeah, pack is worth at minimum 100 dust. Maybe if you spend real money, you can get a slight discount sometimes, but that's about it. So, where are we here as far as anything? We've got cards that are marked new that aren't new, still glitched. And what else? Okay, so last stream we ran out of hard drive space. I hopefully won't run out of hard drive space here. It would be really ridiculous if I did. Apologies to anybody on the chat. I was moving my phone over from the Samsung Galaxy S7 to the Samsung Galaxy S9, and boy does that transition need to be easier. You would think just moving from one to the other should be 100% perfect. Everything copies over perfectly, and it just doesn't. And that's Samsung, which has a program called Smart Switch that it's supposed to make it work, and it still doesn't work. It is still by far better to, if you can, and I don't think you really can on Samsung's, it is still by far better to root your phone, use titanium backup, back up your entire computer, your cell phone, and then restore it all, than it is to use Google Backup or Samsung's online backup service or Samsung's direct device-to-device switch. Like, because they're just things, and they're important things too. It's like the authenticator apps, two-factor verification. That stuff doesn't copy over, which is, sure, probably for security reasons, but also a total pain in the butt. I have like 2 things that are on my authenticator. I have no idea what account they go to. So I basically have to keep my old phone in somewhat working order in case 5 years from now, what are we playing? Rogue, Warrior, Hunter, Mage? We have to get everything done, so let's just start with Hunter. And we're still trying to win and get on this. So yeah, like 5 years from now, I might get to some website and it says you turned on two-factor authentication, and I'll be like, oh man, I gotta go find this old phone. So I'm gonna have to have this old phone get its battery to about 50% and then turn it off is about the best you can do. You want it at 50% because if you leave it at 100%, it might drain the battery faster. At least that's my understanding of it. Although maybe at the end of life it is better just to leave it at 100% and turn the battery off and see what happens. But probably not. I hunt alone. But I've got it all set up now. The S9 has a ridiculous curved screen that I immediately had to hack. Now you can't root the S9 to my knowledge, but there is apparently a way where you can give special permissions through using a computer typing in command in the ADB debugging program. So I had to plug the phone into a computer, basically copy and paste it, or this command into a DOS-like console, and then have the have it give special permissions to a program that would then allow this app to change the resolution on the screen. So there's about 50 pixels out of a odd amount of pixels. It's like 1090 pixels, so it's not quite 1080, or it's a little bit over 1080 if the screen is curved. And so I've dropped like down to 990 just so the screen does not show up at all on the curved edges. Playing Hearthstone on a curved screen in particular, as I was just looking at my secondary Hearthstone account, was a nightmare. Imagine all of these cards curved and distorted down here. It just looked horrible. And the curved screen looked horrible in every instance that you would use it in. The only time it looks alright is if you have a desktop, you're looking at the desktop, and there's blackness on the edges. So you don't see that how bad it is. And so, yeah. Now, maybe there's some kind of selling point to a foldable screen. I don't think so. I think phones are getting ridiculous. They're getting too expensive. The S10 is like $1,000 phone right now. It's really silly. Cell phones at this point have as much as you can possibly do on them, I think, and they just need to become more commoditized and cheaper. And I'm sure no cell phone developer really wants to do that, because you're not going to really add a new feature there. You'd have to be able to sell people on, like, does this cell phone have the new NVIDIA GTX mobile 2060 in it? And cell phones are nowhere close to that. Nor is there a gaming community for cell phones that really would make that make sense. So, like, nobody is really gonna make a cell phone game that has to use the best of the best separate GPUs. Battery life would be horrible for any phone like that. So really, they just need to get simplified. The S9 is way too tall. It's 20%, in my opinion, taller than it should be. Watching a YouTube video in the portrait format is ridiculous, because you have like 80% of the screen taken up with descriptions and comments and stuff, and you can't even see the screen for most of it. I have pretty big hands, and when I hold the phone, my thumb still will not stretch out and reach with a one-handed use the top 20% of the screen. So yeah, it's just total ridiculous. Ridiculously too tall. Only makes sense if you're scrolling websites. Only makes sense if you're scrolling Facebook, and you just are doing it at such an extreme amount that you actually believe you need such a tall screen. It doesn't make sense in widescreen either. There's thick black lines when you put it in horizontal mode to watch a video that way too. So it's kind of a waste one way or the other. Will this make it any more expensive than this? I don't know. Never really figured out the rules for the road on these things. Alright, let's end the turn. On the good point, the S9 has really good audio as Dolby Atmos, and it sounds excellent. I am extremely happy with the fact that I can just turn on the media volume to like 75% and clearly hear and understand what is being said, whereas in almost every previous cell phone I've had to go pull out hacks and turn up the audio as much as humanly possible, just so that there's a slight chance of me being able to understand what is being said.
Easy target.
Job's done.
Alright, there's a 12.9. Other things in the S9, it's like I got a 64 gigabyte version. I think that's probably the default. I would think, otherwise maybe I paid too much, because I really didn't need 65 gigabytes built in internal. My SD card only has like, it really only has has 32 gigabytes, and it wasn't particularly full. Let's see. Okay, how are we gonna do this? This, so we can do explosive trap, or we can do that. Let's go ahead and do this. Beast have charge, and stealth and poisonous. Sounds interesting. Go ahead and kill that, and end the turn. Yeah, other things on it though, it's just a smaller phone. It's too small. Phones have always gotten too small now. The battery could have been probably double just to make the phone thicker. It has like fingerprints and heart rate monitors. I'm not gonna ever use or set up any of that. The bezel at the top and bottom is practically non-existent. Although it's not doing the notch thing, which I am fine with them not doing the notch thing. I don't see any real reason that should become the way things are done. That you really don't need that. And I assume it just is faster. And wow, I lost. I thought I might actually win there. So yeah, I assume the CPU is faster. That being said, oddly, Facebook has not been posting. It like seems to lock up the CPU when it's uploading. I don't know why. Like, seems really strange that Chrome would be the thing. Yeah, everything else seems to work just fine. One of the apps I use, I'm still using an old version from several years ago because the new version was horrible, and basically the company was bought out by a different company and they changed everything for some stupid reason. But yeah, I would say, if I'm not a tech reviewer and not getting into the real details here, USB-C seems like a good thing. As somebody who has broken like every micro USB connector in the past probably 10 years, USB-C is proving itself helpful, at least where I don't have to try twice to plug in the phone. And in just general ideas of maybe that connector won't break. So I'm happy for that. I would say, look, you should compare the S9 Plus versus the S9. Like, the S9 Plus might not have a curved screen. It might have some better stats. Like, I was trying to get out cheap. Frankly, I didn't want to replace my S7 but the backlight at some point had started shorting out, and so it was pretty obvious that what was eventually going to happen is either the backlight was not going to work at all, and I wouldn't be able to see the screen at all, or it'd be extremely difficult to see the screen, or it would short out and just cause major damage to other things. It did give me an opportunity to clean up some files, deleted some backups that maybe I don't have any other backups for, but I guess it doesn't probably matter. Get rid of some duplicate files, get rid of some apps that I'd been sitting on since the last time I had a rooted phone, that there's kind of no reason to have these apps because they just say, well, you don't have root, you can't do anything. Let's see.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's the frustration of the S9. Now we have a ton of video game news to talk about, so I don't know why I decided to talk about all that, other than I'm just talking about what's going on in my life. Let's keep people involved. The person who was chatting on all of my videos, he tried to chat on one message and then I tried to heart it, which is something I've learned, and I should have learned 4 years ago plus when I started my channel. It's just you should heart every message on your YouTube channel and let people know and get notifications that that you're reading their messages and you appreciate it. One of his messages seems to have been removed, so I'm hoping this isn't the case that he just got flagged as a spammer, although very possibly he actually is a spammer. But he was certainly putting a lot more comments on my channel than anybody else, and I was appreciating that, certainly. In the last month, we've gotten like 7 new subscribers, and we're at 319. If we got a big inrush of new subscribers, I don't know. I mean, if it just snowballed really, really well, maybe by the end of the year we could be back up to 1,000. And that being said, I read today on Reddit there was somebody who was putting, I guess, their piano lessons on YouTube, and their channel got demonetized for, quote, repetitive content, which doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, I've never heard of anybody complaining about repetitive content on YouTube. So I am left very much confused on that. It's like, why all of a sudden are you upset about repetitive content? That's been the thing that a lot of people have built their entire channels around, is just repetitive content. Good Mythical Morning, very, very arguably repetitive content. Like, all they do for the most part is eat weird random food. So, like, I don't see the problem there. I could see my channel being claimed as repetitive content. I could see any gaming channel being claimed as repetitive content. Repetitive is this incredibly subjective term unless you're going to hold it to a extremely strict scientific, like, definition and say only duplicate exact content is excluded. And duplicate content, I get it. Like, YouTube has always said this video can't be monetized because it's a duplicate of another video. So yeah, I get that idea, but that has never gone to the level. Do I have enough to win here? I think I do. But saying things are repetitive is just another one of those wiggle worms to demonetize people. Now, I also saw comments on Reddit, and I don't know how well this is true, frankly, that demonetized videos get ads run on them, and then YouTube gets all of the revenue from those ads. I don't believe that is the case. I think if that is happening, that is grounds for fraud and monopolistic injunctions, and because that would be insane completely. Now, what might be happening and what might be leading to confusion is that some other third party is claiming copyright and ownership of a video, and then they are getting the 70% of the proceeds from the revenue, and then YouTube is still getting its 30%. If YouTube in any scenario has done something where they are getting more than their 30% cut, that's straight up fraud at that point.
Job's done.
Let's start talking about the news, I suppose, because this is gonna take a lot of time. A Nintendo Direct happened. We'll talk a lot about that. I'm playing Overlord 2. Overlord 2, last night I got stuck in this long second act stealth mission after doing a long second act kind of solo mission. In Overlord, you control these minions kind of like Pikmin, and so the fact that there's a section where you for at least 30 minutes to an hour don't have any Pikmin, don't have any minions to control, changes the game drastically. And it's been like that for probably 3 or 4 hours, because there was a section where you're controlling the boats and doing basically water level. Water levels always suck, and then you go from the water level to the solo mission, and then you go from the solo mission to a stealth mission. It's like the game is all over the place with its gameplay mechanics, instead of just giving you what I really want, which is well-designed levels, and the level designs are terrible, and just good general gameplay. But I was trying to get on a roll. It's been really hard, and I don't know if it really is Overlord 2's fault so much. It's just been really hard to sit down, and maybe that's because I'm doing 30-minute episodes. Maybe there's a different reason. But it's really hard to just keep my butt in the seat and continue to play the game. So often I'll do a 30-minute episode of Overlord 2, then leave the area, eat something, go to the bathroom, watch something on YouTube. Often it's like an hour and 30 minutes of YouTube content. My YouTube backlog has just grown longer and longer and longer. So yeah. And of course this was the problem at the end of last year too, is it's just not really feeling like making a lot of content and being lazy.
Justice is mine.
Let's see. Oh man, was that a weapon that would have triggered a death rattle? Forgot what you're supposed to be doing with this deck to try and win. Alright, so we have a ton of news. Let's go through it. It's Friday. I doubt too many people are gonna come on board and chat or watch this at all. Because the video was corrupted last stream, by the way. I'll have to upload like a 720p stream, I think. Like, I don't think, even though YouTube serves a 1080p stream, it seems to me, and maybe there's just a mistake here, or it hasn't processed, that they will only give me a 720 video back when I say download that MP4. So yeah, that sucks.
My hand is too full.
But really won't matter too much. It'll just be one random episode of Hearthstone that airs months from now. I need to finish Overlord 2 and upload all the Hearthstone and schedule things. So GameIndustry.biz has a news article. Tencent joins Netmarble consortium in its Nexon bid, bidding for the largest Korean game developer, expected to begin February 21st. So I really don't understand how this consortium really would take place. Is it they'll buy Nexium and each of these companies will then own a part of that, or will it be that there will be this new merged company? Okay, so here's the death rattle I'd have to put up, and then this guy needs to be triggered twice, and then I can do some spells. But if this guy dies in his next turn, that sucks. So yeah. Yeah.
Reality.
It seems like people know what's going on because they seem to play directly against that concept all the time. Alright.
Justice is mine.
So the Nexon stake is 8.87 billion, and it's said to be too much for any single Korea firm to afford, hence Netmarble's consortium plans. So basically they're asking Tencent to give them cash in a way of helping them buy this new company. And it's kind of like the not quite getting a loan, but instead getting a loan on the shares of another company. This might work.
Justice is mine.
If I can get this on the field and have it survive long enough, it might work. TechRaptor has an article. The Burnout spiritual successor Dangerous Driving is coming in April. So is this from EA? Because Burnout is an EA thing. No, it's from a company called Three Fields that was founded in 2014 by the Criterion founders Alex Ward and Fiona Sperry. They're the studio, with the studio from its inception when EA moved Criterion off the Need for Speed series. Over the last 5 years, the studio has put out a number of games including Dangerous Golf, Lethal VR, Danger Zone 1 and 2. So, yeah, I kind of know that developer. I've seen some of their properties. Alright. So, this, and then this, and then Geez, I should try this and see if this works, but... Then this. And then that. And then
Justice
that.
is mine.
Job's done.
In the turn. Yep. So this racing game, Dangerous Driving, looks like it's a driving game with a large emphasis on car damage and crashing. We've seen several of these before. So with 2 turns, can he do enough to win? Or did I kill enough minions? See, this is that annoying 2-turn win that is basically impossible to defeat. Yeah, there's no way. He could do this 6 more times. So even trying pretty hard to win there, you still lose. Alright, let's go back and see what else we could play as. Guess we're looking for 3 victories with the Rogue or Warrior. It doesn't seem like Rogue's gonna work. Let's try Rush Warrior. Gamatsu has an article. My Girlfriend is a Mermaid launches February 28th in the West. This is a visual novel. The animation doesn't even look particularly great. I have heard of a couple of these My Girlfriend is a Mermaid stories. So, like, not all of them I think are from the same writer or anything. It probably makes more sense in Japanese because, heck, Japan is an island. They do have a long history of nautical fare. More mermaid stories make a lot more sense. Whereas a landlocked country very possibly wouldn't have too many interesting tales to tell as far as mermaids go. Speaking of mermaids, there is a problem that I have run into with Overlord 2 in the fact that they're just doing the same gag over and over again. They introduced like these fat female tiny small fairy creatures early in the game, and then I'm like, okay, so the gag is that your mistresses that you can find are skinny and of a body type and basically blondes with big boobs, and that's the gag there. And then everybody else is gonna look either kind of nondescript or is this a Murloc? No. Or extremely fat. So they introduce that, and then they introduce these elf women that are fat, and they all look like they're wearing like pasties or very loose bras. So it's 360-degree cleavage you're getting here, but they're all designed to look ugly. And then the Empire women are shown, and they're also fat too. So I imagine what happened is they literally only have 1 body type or 2 body types for females that they animated, and it's just an unfinished game. But what this has had an effect on is they're just not varying up the character styles for the women. Now, to be fair, there's literally like 1 kind of Empire soldier. Well, 2 kinds. There's big shielded Empire soldiers and small shielded Empire soldiers, but it's the same body type. There's like 1 style of male elf that you're fighting a lot. There's 1 style of Empire general that you're fighting a lot. So the game is definitely just like using the same body types for everybody. but it's really noticeable when characters are supposed to be love interests, and I guess it's tit for tat, but it doesn't really feel like it's tit for tat. When the Empire generals and the governors that are being depicted, the Empire governors are being depicted as large fat people, it's just doing the fat joke, I think, too much. And so I was playing this game and I'm like, yeah, this game is pretty old, but by modern standards, there's a lot of things you could have done with different characters. You could have gone with the Bayonetta body type, tsundere personality type. You could have gone sportish. You could have gone bookish. You could have gone boyish. Like when you look at it from just a general understanding of the different personality types in anime harem stories, like there's a lot you can do there, certainly, instead of just saying, oh, all of the females that you're supposed to hate and attack are fat and disgusting, and all the females that you're supposed to love and want to take as your mistress and overlord to which you can have multiple mistresses. Thank goodness for that. If you're going to be an evil overlord, you might as well act like an evil overlord. It's like all of those mistresses just kind of like big boob blonde. It's just boring.
Move quickly.
Physically. I guess I'll finish up the story. My girlfriend is a mermaid. Mermaids, by the way, are big and fat too. That's the reason why I was talking about that. It's coming out for the Nintendo eShop February 28th in the West from Sekai Games. So it's a visual novel coming out for the Switch. I would kind of like to see what the Switch storefront looks like, and how, as more and more visual novels get added to it, how those are sorted or displayed or promoted. Because yeah, I could definitely see kids getting on the eShop and going, what's this visual novel, and it not being age appropriate or of any interest, or maybe it's all hidden deep in the depths of the eShop. That is also a possibility. We have a game on Steam, Far Cry New Dawn, the standalone DLC continuation of Far Cry 5. It's kind of an interesting promotion idea, where if you make a numbered version of your series and people don't particularly like it or do like it, it doesn't really matter, because the next game in the series that is its standalone DLC will always have a non-numbered version. So you open the door that people the legitimate people, not the video game journalists complaining about Far Cry 5 for not attacking conservative values or conservative Trump supporters, but real people that just kind of found Far Cry 5 potentially repetitive and just stale, which I think is probably a valid argument. That's what they've been selling with the Far Cry series from the beginning. People that don't like that might very well still jump into New Dawn and say, well, this might offer something different. Meanwhile, people that loved Far Cry 5, which I heard at least a decent amount of people say that they did love it, can come into Far Cry New Dawn and continue their enjoyment.
Be thirsty.
Whenever a minion takes damage. Alright, so let's do that. Game attack. Far Cry New Dawn is already rated very positively, of what looks like 162 reviews. It's $39.99 unless you buy the deluxe edition, which then it is $49.99 unless you buy the bundle with Far Cry 5, and then it would be $99.99 unless you buy the bundled Far Cry 5 Golden Edition with New Dawn Deluxe Edition, which is $129.99, which is the true value, I think, of a video game these days. Is you have to buy the Gold Edition of Far Cry 5 and the Deluxe Edition of Far Cry 5 New Dawn. There might be some reaction to the complaints of the politics in New Dawn, but by having twin African-American women in dreadlocks, but I don't think that's going to satisfy any of the journalists who are just complaining because that's all they ever do is complain. So I would still very much be on the perspective, you don't go to Far Cry looking for a great story, you go to Far Cry for that Assassin's Creed style of gameplay where you're going to have a lot of missions and a lot of things you can do and shoot. Now, there might be some slight problems with playing New Dawn or Far Cry 5 too close to playing Rage. Geez, I am just not winning either one of these. I think we're gonna have to switch to yeah, we're gonna have to switch to the practice mode because I'm just gonna lose and fall out of ranked 19. So I'm gonna put Far Cry New Dawn in the fall list. Probably could put it in the wish list. It probably wouldn't be a big deal there. We're still certainly at a point where actually I can just put it on the wish list. Come to think of it, there's really no reason to not just put it on the wish list. I'm still haven't committed to playing any of the Far Cry games. Alright, so we need to play casual. Let's go back here and try this. Man, I definitely in the next deck rebuilds need to have a good warrior and a good rogue. Let's see, this is a shaman deck, right? Yeah. Next we have on Steam Zoo Constructor, which is probably like a Zoo Tycoon clone. It doesn't look terrible. Looks pretty good. This really will just boil down to, does it come out of early access? Is it valued well? Right now it's $17.99 discounted.
None can escape my fury.
So this is the perfect style of game to go on the fall list and just see if it turns out to be something people really, really love. And then I'd have to think about whether I really want to play that style of game, because I'm not sure I'm really too into tycoon style games. Let's see what this is. I'm looking at a TechRaptor article called Coverage Club Escape the Gloomer Proves that Redwall's Lost Legends need to keep being found. So I think this is probably an older game, if I was to guess. Let's see.
Reporting for duty.
Whatever this game is, or whenever it came out, though, it looks like it's a mostly text-based game. It's on Steam, but yeah, doesn't look like anything of any real interest. Let's go ahead and do that. Gamer Sutra has an article, enjoy a 93 video tour of id Software while Doom was being made. And interestingly, I have a video here linked that says Privacy Badger has replaced this video button. Interesting. So apparently Vimeo, Privacy Badger being one of the plugins I have for privacy and anti-tracking, and apparently Vimeo tracks you through its video buttons before you even click play. Interesting. So maybe I'd get around to watching this video, but probably not, so I just want to point it out in case anybody is interested. Although there is definitely a problem in the video game world and fandom in general where people are talking about things from the past and just never stop talking about things from the past. I wandered onto a video talking about something I think called Moment 37 from EVO, where in an EVO Street Fighter fight somebody countered like a Chun-Li high kick super attack where he had to press like 12 very precise button presses, or he had like 12 seconds to counter this attack every time, and it's like super high level play for that version of Street Fighter. And then the video was talking about how now Street Fighter has gotten so dumbed down that you can basically just beat on the controller and counter that attack, which like that's not good for high level play, certainly. And even trying to make your game more accessible to new players, if the game really is to the point where a professional cannot reliably beat somebody mashing on the buttons, you've gone too far, in my opinion. As somebody who doesn't play fighting games, like I should get my butt kicked if I was playing against a professional in any fighting game that is well balanced. Meanwhile, there probably should be a way for me to play on easy in maybe a versus CPU only mode and still have a decent amount of an experience. Where did I get on that story from, though? Why was I talking about that? I've lost my train of thought here. Well, let's just continue with the news, I suppose. GameIndustry.biz, Tencent in talks to bring Apex Legends to China report. Respawn's latest would join Fortnite and PUBG in online giants stable of Battle Royale titles. Speaking of Battle Royale titles, you can read the rest of this GameIndustry.biz article if you're interested. Yeah, the Nintendo Direct happened, and we'll talk about it eventually. In the Nintendo Direct, they announced Tetris 99, which is a battle royale for free on Nintendo's online service, where you play Tetris against 99 other people. It's pretty cool looking, actually, for a free game in particular. Now, how quickly does that audience evaporate and dry up? And does it become impossible or extremely difficult to have 99 people play? Is the question it's gonna run into. Also, because it's on the Switch, and the Switch doesn't have any like cell phone coverage or anything, if you're playing this on the go, where you very well might likely to, you're tethering your cell phone, and in the United States, tethering your cell phone, I don't think it's just by default allowed even now, without some extra fees that they'll try to cram on you.
Justice is mine.
So, yeah, there's some extra potential expense there. What are we trying to do? We can do this, and that doesn't matter, but my cards are running out. I'm filling up my hand. So yeah, it would have been nice. The Nintendo Direct almost guarantees the end of the 3DS, 2DS, all of that. Because if there was going to be any more focus on a separate mobile device, they wouldn't be making a remake to the Legend of Zelda A Link's Awakening on the Switch. Which the fact that they are making a remake of that game is amazing. I remembered what I was talking about. By the way, I really don't care about Tencent bringing Apex Legends to China. Although Resident Evil 2 right now is not allowed to be sold. It's banned in China, and people are selling it in a sneaky fashion. Okay. Preparation. And do that. Do that. And
justice is mine.
Yeah, but what I was talking about earlier was people being focused on old games and old fandoms. And certainly in anime, as an elapsed anime fan, like talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, for instance, that's like 10, 20, 30 years old at this point, and it's like, it's time for us to kind of move on. Go ahead and play this.
Justice is mine.
I should have killed that, actually. But I watched, I don't know if I mentioned this, FLCL, Progressive and Alternate, and boy, those continuations of a series that never needed a continuation knows what that. I think I talked about that on Wednesday though, so it's kind of silly to bring it up again. All I freaking need is Malagos. If I had Malagos, I think I could win here.
Monsters behind you.
Let's do that. And let's do that. See, summon a 1/1 copy of a minion in your hand. I don't have the minion in my hand. Jeez, you really cannot win here.
I can wait.
Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Fantasy Flight Games announces a scoundrel-centric Star Wars Outer Rim. Interesting. Oh wait, this is a board game though. This is not a video game. I would have saw. Yeah, I was thinking to myself, I would have seen more news if there was a new Star Wars video game that was announced. Alright, we'll just switch between Rush Warrior and Rogue until we get cheap victories. Next we have a game on Steam called Creepy Vision that looks like it might be an asset flip or it might be artistic.
Versus Gul'dan.
Your Your soul shall be mine.
You know, I can't immediately reject this game as just being an asset flip game or a weird game that is an asset flip that's just trying to sell itself because it's weird. It's $4.99. This is one I will give a follow to, and we'll see what people have to say about it. That being said, I do need to make a decision on when I'm going to go through the follow list again and do some cleanup, because I probably should have done it during the Chinese New Year lunar sale, and I didn't. It just did not even occur to me. Next, we have a game on Steam called Arena of Shayalo. It looks like Arena of Shayalo. It looks like a card-based, like deck-building game, but MS Paint graphics. And it's gonna really fail in the fact that there is this new Ruby deck-building game we'll talk about later. This game is free, so the price is right, but it looks terrible. So yeah, I can. Even as a card game, I can ignore that one. Let's see. Let's do this. And this. Gamma Sutra has an article. Ubisoft isn't worried about an influx of new games stealing Rainbow Six Siege's thunder. Quote, when there's something new on the market, especially shooter games, Rainbow Six Siege players go and explore it, then they come back. Now, I would argue, I don't feel like there is too much thunder for Rainbow Six Siege. I think that there is a player base, certainly, and a fandom there. I don't know how much of it really exists. Or if it's particularly something that is going to grow in any way. Rainbow Six Siege, the way it came out, the way it sells itself, what it actually is just always this very off-putting offer to me, in particular as a multiplayer only game. It does kind of offer something different, so I can see if you just don't want to play Fortnite, if you just don't want to play Call of Duty or Battlefront or Battlefield or anything, Rainbow Six Siege offers itself as a potential different offering. Let's see, just gotta hold on with this. Right. But yeah, I really wouldn't call Rainbow Six Siege as a thunderous success of a game. Honestly, I wouldn't really call any of the shooter games these days as thunderous successes. One of the things with my new phone, that the clock app looks like it's slightly different, so by default I can just have a 30-minute timer, a 1-hour timer. I don't have to scroll back and forth to set the timer. So like now I know we've been going for an hour. So after, if we can get like one more victory, well, I guess we don't need to go get one more victory. This is kind of the perfect point to end. TechRaptor has a similar article. Ubisoft reports, quote, solid performance in Q3 results. Assassin's Creed Odyssey still bringing in players. So I imagine Ubisoft is just reporting its Q3 reports, and they're just saying, yeah, like, things are good, and that's kind of good for them, I suppose. Ubisoft under threat of being acquired by either Vivendi or Viacom. Never can get those two straight. But we've seen a lot of other companies either have really good results like Activision Blizzard and still lay off people because it didn't meet quote-unquote expectations, and we'll have a little bit more news about that later in the stream. Or you've had a lot of Japanese and other people just report bad quarters in general. Anyways, I guess this is as good of a point as any to end this recording and break it up, and then we'll switch over to the European account. So as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.